for any player.
Yeah, talk about raising your game to another level. Just being around that kind of talent, that championship pedigree, it's got to push you to be your best.
Absolutely. Iron sharpens iron, as they say.
And in this case, you've got some of the sharpest iron in the league all coming together. But, okay, let's pump the brakes for a second.
Why? What's up?
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. We still don't know if this trade will actually happen.
Right. There's always a chance it could fall apart at the last minute.
The NBA trade deadline is always unpredictable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Full of twists and turns and last-minute surprises.
It's like a soap opera, but with higher stakes.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in all the strategizing and analyzing. But we can't forget about the human element here. These are real people with real lives and careers that are being affected by these decisions.
It's true. We sometimes forget that these guys are more than just stats on a page.
Right, they're chasing their dreams, trying to make a name for themselves in the league. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, but at the end of the day, it's about the human stories.
Absolutely. And those stories are what make sports so compelling.
So we've talked about this trade from a lot of different angles, the players, the teams, the impact on the Western Conference. But you mentioned earlier how this potential move also reflects some of the broader trends we've been seeing in the NBA. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Well, one of the biggest trends in recent years has been the increase in player movement. It seems like superstars are constantly teaming up, creating these super teams, and the landscape of the league is constantly shifting.
Yeah, the days of players staying with one team for their entire careers are pretty much gone, right?
Pretty much. It's a much more fluid and dynamic league now.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
Not at all. It creates more parity, more competition, more excitement for the fans. It keeps things interesting.
So much for loyalty, though, right?
Well, loyalty in the NBA is a complicated thing these days. It's more about opportunity and winning championships, I think.
It's a business at the end of the day.
Exactly. So you never know what's going to happen next, and that's what makes it so fun to follow.
You know, it's funny. We started this conversation talking about a specific trade for the Warriors, and now we're talking about the evolution of the NBA as a whole.
I think it just shows how interconnected everything is in the NBA. One move can have a ripple effect that impacts the entire league.
It's like the butterfly effect, right? A small change in one place can lead to massive changes somewhere else.
Exactly. And in this case, the butterfly is flapping its wings in the Bay Area, and those wings are stirring things up across the entire NBA.
Okay. I think I need a visual for that one. But you're right, this potential trade, it's not just about the Warriors. It's about the league as a whole and how it's constantly changing and evolving.
And that's what makes it so exciting to watch, right? We're witnessing history in the making.
All right, well, I think it's time to take this conversation to the next level. Let's delve into the historical context of NBA trades and see how this potential deal stacks up against some of the most impactful trades of all time. All right, so we've been breaking down this potential Warriors trade move by move, but I think it's time to zoom out a bit, and look at the bigger picture.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, let's add some historical context to this conversation.
Yeah.
Look back at some of the biggest NBA trades and see how this Vučević deal, if it happens, would stack up.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. It always helps to look back at those monumental trades that reshape the league.
Right, because it gives us some perspective on just how much impact a single trade can have on the entire NBA landscape. So when you think about NBA history, what are some of the biggest, most impactful trades that come to mind?
The first one that jumps out to me is the 2007 trade that sent Kevin Garnett to the Boston Celtics.
Oh, man, that was a game changer.
Yeah. It completely changed the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. Garnett teamed up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen to form that legendary Big Three.
And they won a championship in their first season together, right?
Exactly. It's the perfect example of how a single trade can turn a team into an instant contender.
And it shows how much impact a dominant veteran all-star can have on a team that already has some star power.
Absolutely. Sometimes all it takes is that one missing piece to complete the puzzle.
Right. Like adding that final ingredient to a recipe.
I like that analogy.
Okay, so what other big trades come to mind? I'm thinking about the 2011 deal that sent Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge one, too. It transformed the Clippers from a perennial lottery team into a legitimate contender almost overnight.
Chris Paul's arrival in L.A., it really changed the entire culture of that organization, didn't it?
It did. It ushered in a new era of success for them. And it shows that trades aren't just about adding talent. It's also about changing the chemistry and the dynamics of a team.
Yeah, sometimes a shakeup is all it takes to spark something special. Oh. And speaking of shakeups, what about the 2012 trade that sent James Harden to the Houston Rockets?
Oh, that's a fascinating one because it actually worked out well for both teams involved.
You're right. The Oklahoma City Thunder got a nice package of players and draft picks in return.
Yeah.
And Harden, well, he became a superstar in Houston.
Exactly. He blossomed into an MVP caliber player. So it's a reminder that trades can be mutually beneficial, even if it means saying goodbye to a star player.
So for our listeners out there who have been following the Warriors this season, what do you think? Should they make this trade for Vučević? Is it worth the risk? Let us know your thoughts.
And remember, even if this specific trade doesn't happen, the fact that the Warriors are even considering such a bold move tells us they're not standing pat. They're going to be active as we get closer to the trade deadline.
That's right. The Warriors are always looking for ways to improve their roster. So one way or another, they're going to be a team to watch in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. The NBA trade deadline is always a wild ride full of twists and turns and unexpected surprises.
Buckle up, everybody, because things are about to get interesting. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of NBA trades.
Always a pleasure, Liam. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
So as we try to understand this potential Warriors trade through the lens of history, what stands out to you? Are there any parallels to those big trades we just talked about?
Well, I think the Kevin Garnett trade to Boston is a pretty compelling comparison. Just like the Celtics acquired a veteran all-star to complement their existing stars, the Warriors are considering adding Vučević to their core of Curry, Thompson, and Green. They're hoping he'll be that final piece they need to get back on top.
It's like they're trying to replicate that Big Three magic, but with a modern twist.
Exactly. But we have to remember that history doesn't always repeat itself perfectly. Just because a trade worked out for one team doesn't mean it'll work out for another.
Right. There are so many other factors at play: coaching injuries, team chemistry, even luck.
But I think the key takeaway here is that trades can have a massive impact on the league. They can change the course of a franchise, alter the balance of power, and even spark the creation of new dynasties.
And that's what makes them so exciting to follow, right? They inject this element of unpredictability and drama into the NBA.
It's like watching a real-life soap opera unfold, but with much higher stakes.
Well said, Olivia. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot more informed about this potential Warriors trade after our deep dive today.
Me too. We covered a lot of ground, didn't we?
I did. We talked about the players involved, the team's motivations, the potential risks and rewards, and even the historical context of NBA trades.